From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, February 2nd, 2015. Silver is trading at $17.10 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,273 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $227. Antiwar.com reports at least 20 people have been killed in the 24 hours since the Minsk peace talks ended in failure, with 13 of them Ukrainian soldiers and another 10 were civilians killed in shellings of rebel territories. The fighting seems to have picked up considerably since the talks ended in just 4 hours, with no sign of progress, and are still centered primarily on the government-held town of Debaltseve, with the military shelling rebel territory in Donetsk and Luhansk seemingly at random. Both sides continue to trade blame over the talks ending so quickly, with each side saying the other had made demands they simply aren't willing to accept. The Debaltseve is seen particularly valuable to both sides because of its proximity to the highway between Donetsk and Luhansk, though residents are finding this doesn't offer them much safety, and they are fleeing en masse as the fighting around them escalates. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a man who climbed a bicycle rack outside of the White House fence on Sunday has been charged with unlawful entry, according to the U.S. Secret Service. Agency spokesman Brian Leary said the suspect did not make it over the bike rack, which is set back from the presidential residence's fence on Pennsylvania Avenue. The Secret Service, which protects the president and other U.S. leaders, has come under scrutiny after a series of security lapses. Last Monday, a small drone operated by an employee of a U.S. spy agency crashed on the White House grounds. In September, an intruder jumped the White House fence and got into the building before being apprehended. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Coinbase. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Opening a wallet is quick and easy, and for merchants, there are no transaction fees on the first $1 million worth of transactions. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. The New York Times reports in the wake of President Obama's move to rekindle diplomatic ties with Cuba, Cuban-American legislators in Washington and local officials in Florida are calling for reconsideration of a once sacrosanct element of American foreign policy, the 1966 law that gives Cubans broader protections than any other immigrants arriving in the United States. Critics of the law, joined by the hardline Cuban-American congressional delegation, say it is being abused by recent waves of Cuban arrivals who regularly travel back and forth between Cuba and the United States as economic, not political, refugees. Written during the height of tensions with the Soviet Union, the Cuban Adjustment Act was meant to offer safe haven for Cuban refugees fleeing oppression from their communist government. The law allows all Cubans who reach the United States, legally or illegally, to become permanent residents in 1 year and a day. 5 years later, they can become U.S. citizens. The law is still popular with most Cubans in Florida, but influential Cuban-American politicians argue that the moves to normalize relations undercut the rationale for the law, that it protects refugees from an outlaw government at a time they did not have the option of returning home. Many earlier immigrants say the law should only protect Cubans fleeing political oppression. Newer immigrants who benefit most from the law are more likely to support its blanket application to all Cuban immigrants. But the Cubans who have been here the longest have the most political clout. For now, the law stands, and Obama administration officials say they do not intend to weaken it, nor are there plans to modify a 1995 immigration policy that allows the U.S. Coast Guard to return to Cuba the Cubans it stops at sea unless they claim political persecution. Under this wet feet, dry feet approach, those who make it to American soil can avail themselves of the Cuban Adjustment Act. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.